Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Grown Woman Talk, where we have conversations about taking the next best steps on our journey to success. I'm your host, Leslie Denman, and I'm excited to have Miss Shannon Baylor-Henderson with us today. She is the woman that makes it happen at Content Commanders. Welcome to the conversation, Shannon. She's my Real Grown Woman guest, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
I am so excited too. Thank you, Leslie, for having me on your show. I'm so excited to have some real grown woman talk. It's way better than
Yes.
talking to your kids all day long in
Tell me about
quarantine.
it. Tell me about it. My kids are grown and gone, but I understand your pain. I can remember those times. Okay. And how many babies do you have?
Four sons.
Oh, boys. What their ages?
Child. 16, 14, 11, and 9.
Woo. So you got a whole bunch of stuff going on over there.
It's a whole bunch of funk. That's all I can tell you. A whole bunch of funk, a whole bunch of hormones, but definitely a whole
Okay.
bunch of love.
Exactly. At the end of the day, and it take a real grown woman to handle all of that. That is, bless your
I'll tell
heart.
you this real quick. When I was on my third son,
Uh-huh.
people were telling me, a woman that has three sons is guaranteed to get to heaven. And so when I had my fourth son, I said, I must have a throne when I get there.
Okay. They'll be like, we've been waiting. Like, come on in. We've been waiting, baby. You did that. You did that.
Come on
in. So, when you're not being super mom to your four boys, Content Commanders, tell me about how that came about. I love the name. Tell me how that came about.
So I'm a writer at heart. Like anything with the written word, I'm all over it. I've actually been a writer since I was 9 when I started my first business, which was a greeting card company.
Oh.
Yeah. I was selling greeting cards for $3.50. It was called Fanciful Phrases. And I would write custom greeting cards for my family. And so I remember my first year in business, I made like $500. And I was like, you can actually make a living from writing.
Right.
And so, of course, over the years, just growing, maturing, refining that. And Content Commanders was birthed from another business that I ran for 15 years, which was I'mShannon.com. But I needed to scale the business. I'mShannon.com relied so much on me being the talent that I couldn't grow it. It did really, really well, but I needed to figure out how to scale it. And so what I know is that people see content all day long and they use content, but they're not clear with their intentions and their strategies. So I developed Content Commanders to kind of fill that gap of showing people how to add more power, perspective, and personality to their content.
Okay, and we are talking about how to command your story because, like you, that is one of the challenges that I know I struggle with in my business. I thought about everything else but that, like what's going to go on the webpage and how to tell. And then there is an art to it that if you're not familiar with it, it could be the difference between $1 and $1,000 in sales. And when we're talking about commanding your story, when you first, can you share with us first the power in commanding our story, like the power of creating content?
Yeah. So with content, there are two aspects, and there's the creative side and the technical side. And I think when people journey into the professional world and entrepreneurship, they think they have to just be technical. So they make sure the sentence structure is okay. They make sure that it looks great, but it's not telling a story. They completely, leave out the creative side and the honesty and the storytelling side of it. So with Content Commanders, and what I do is show people that there's power in the creative side and the transparency and truth telling of your story. So you could have a great sentence that's like, hey, I'm Shannon. It's technically correct. But when you want to add power, it might be, hey, y'all, I'm Shannon, a Black female boss of such and such. Okay. Just adding that layer of creativity. And telling your side of the story or what's the power in your story gives it
Mhm.
power overall. It makes it more relatable.
So that means that you really have to be like confident and clear about your brand and you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think confidence is something that's ever evolving. I
Mhm.
think you just have to be willing. You know, confidence is something tomorrow I'm going to be either more confident than I was today, or something is going to rattle me and I'll be less confident. But
Mhm.
the willingness
Mhm.
to share your story as it evolves, as your life changes, is the most important part of adding more power to your content.
So if you so say a woman listening, she's starting her business, she realizes that she needs help in this area,
Mhm,
and when it comes to just looking at their story, what are
mhm.
some things that make a great story? Like we all, like you said, we all have experiences in our lives, but we don't, everything is not shareable. So what components or what should we be looking for when we are looking at shaping our story for our brand?
I always tell people the why. Like, why are you
Mhm.
doing this? And it could be because I want to make $1 million.
Mhm.
Guess what? That's a part of your story. But there's a
Mhm.
reason why you want to make $1 million. So
Mhm.
tell me that. When you scratch the surface with why, if it stops at because I want to make $1 million, well, join the club. So does everybody else. But
Really?
I mean, like, oh, okay, girl, come sit beside me. I mean, we all
Right?
gonna do it. Why
We
would I
all
give
will get
you
that.
right? Why would I give you some of my money to help you make $1 million?
Well,
That's what I want to know. So
mhm,
your story is constantly these layers of why, and that's what you need to get in contact with. It's okay. I want to make $1 million. Why? Because I have children. And what do you want to
mm,
do for those children? Why is it important to make $1 million for those children? Well, because I'm a single mom.
mhm,
Okay, now tell me why it's important for single moms to make $1 million for their children. Because I
mhm,
want to build a legacy for them and show them that they don't have to be reliant on other people. Okay, why? You just keep going, and the next thing you know, you've revealed your story. You've added
yes.
more power to your content simply by peeling back the layers of the onion.
Mhm. That is true. That's powerful. I know that to be true in my own journey. I started off, and as you say, we're ever evolving. And so, even though throughout my journey there has been a theme that's resonated throughout it, there have been some dots that connected all. But the older I get and the more I experience, the more clear I become. And usually, for me, um, it's not so much about money as it is about prosperity and about leaving a legacy. Like for me, my legacy is very important. Yeah,
Yeah,
the money is good, and some people would thank you for that, but leaving a legacy, that's really really important for me. Like Leslie was here,
yeah,
that's the kind of thing I want. Like my grandmama, my great grandmama, yeah, she did that.
yeah,
That's what I want. That's what really pushes me and causes me to wake up every morning because as you said, you have four boys, and I know that that as a mom, that is the thing that we want most. We want our children to see us
yeah.
living out our message, and then we want them to see us so that they know that they have permission now to do the same thing. We want it to be
Absolutely.
where they can join the journey, and build a legacy, and it just continues. And so many times in the African American culture and families, we don't see that. We see individuals leaving this earth with a lot of debt, can't bury themselves. They,
Mhm,
you're doing,
mhm.
just those things that I'm like, if you're a grown black woman and if we have a real grown woman talk before you go buy that person them shoe, girl, is your life insurance paid up? Do you have life insurance? Because I'm not trying to be funny, but I don't want to get no text and I need to give, and you know what I mean. So I don't want to offend
Listen,
nobody.
I'm
I
right
don't
there
want to
with
offend
you.
nobody.
No,
But
and
this
that's
is real grown woman talk.
but
I'm just
it's
saying.
the thing. Like what you're saying is like the God honest truth, and that could be someone else's why. And I'm so glad you said that
Mhm.
because some people get into business to get out of debt.
Right.
Some people get into business because they saw a financial tragedy.
Yes.
Someone in their family died and they had to have dinner sales to bury them.
Yes.
Some people get into business for, like I said, financial trauma, financial hardship, transitioning financially, whatever it is. That needs to be in your story, because what you just said, Leslie, is 100 other people's stories. So if you don't share that story, you're not empowering 100 other people. And so oftentimes we run away from our stories. Like mine is full of stuff. And one of the things that I tell people is it's a gift and a curse to be transparent. You ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the answer. What I'm learning, though, is who you tell the answer to. It's not necessarily the willingness to tell the answer, it's the audience that receives the answer.
Yes.
And so sharing that, and, like you were saying with children and all of that, my husband and I made a pact when we had baby number one that we would show our children an alternative. That if they did not want to go to college, if they did not want to do these things, that you can take your talent and your skill set and your passion and your interest.
Yes, that's beautiful. Hello, TT Bridgman, Nicole Outlaw Station. Welcome to the conversation. Thank you, ladies, for tuning in. We are talking about we're talking about how to command your story, and we have the content commander herself, Miss Shannon Baylor-Henderson, here having some real grown woman talk, so that individuals, as Shannon just shared, we don't have to be ashamed of our story.
Absolutely.
We use what we've gone through to empower us to stand in our personal power, so that we can give other people permission to do the same thing. And Shannon, you were talking about the audience, which is very important. And that's something as a coach, when I'm talking to my clients, helping them really realize that your story is not for everyone. Your story is for the people, and it will resonate with the people you have been called to serve.
Yep.
So many times we get into business, and the first thing we do, which I love research as much as anyone else, but just going to somebody else's page and just copying their content and stuff because you're trying to do the same thing, that's just being inauthentic to you and your brand. That's how you muzzle your voice. Yes. Now, I say that you can emulate, but don't imitate. Yeah, I mean, it's like let's talk about that for a minute, because I'm sure you have seen that in your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think what happens is, you find an internet idol, someone that you're like, oh, they're getting it. They're getting it. So they must know the success, the formula to success. So you go and you copy their style. And then you realize, you're like, wait a minute, that person said they made $30,000 this month. I am negative $10,000. Like, why isn't it working for me too? Why isn't their style working for me? Well, the key thing is it's their style. Right. So you can't copy someone else's style and expect to get their results. It just doesn't work. Yes. You have to do you. You have to walk in your style and be comfortable with who you are. Because listen, as you're building a brand, especially if you're not a household name yet, people are buying you. Right. They are believing in the brand of you. What you sell is probably not that much different from your competitor. Okay. It's you. So they're trusting you. They connect with your story. They like you. They want to get to know you. They want to look more like you. So if you're looking like someone else, why would they even bother dealing with you? So it's really important. It's okay to go and browse for research what someone else is doing and to take note and say, oh, well, I like how they use those colors. I like how they keep using this word over and over again. It's called a thesaurus. Don't use the same word. Go get a different word. Get a different shade of a color. Like, walk in your own path. Tell your own story. Create your own voice. And I'll tell you this too, what's interesting. I'm not quite sure if anyone has seen this show, but Leslie, if you haven't, I'm encouraging you to see it too.
Okay.
But it's on Netflix, and it's called The 40-Year-Old Version.
No,
not the version. The version.
Version. I'm gonna have to look that up tonight. It's gonna be a Netflix kind of weekend, so I'll check that out.
Add that to your watch list.
Okay.
And one of the things she says, like towards the end of the story, is she has an acronym FYOV. And when
Mhm.
she's talking about it, she gives several examples of what that acronym can mean. But one of the examples is find your own voice.
Yes.
And it's so important in content creation and storytelling to find your own voice and stay there.
Yes.
It doesn't
Yes.
matter if it's different from someone else's, if it's not as technical or as creative. If it's yours, it's going to hit. And when it hits, that's when you see the results.
Yes, yes. And it takes you do have to be clear and confident in your brand to be different. And we are not the same. We're all different.
Mhm.
So, I'm a Dr. Pepper type of person. So I'm not looking for, I'm not looking for Sprite and Coke and all of that, but they all have value for the
Yep,
people who love them.
yep,
And when you show up, like I'm a jeans and t-shirts kind of girl,
yep.
showing up in full beat and suit and all of that, that's not me. That's
Well, you
just
know
not my
what's
style.
interesting is today on my Facebook, I actually posted that. I said, I showed up in a business meeting today with a fedora, snakeskin boots, and a distressed denim jacket.
Mhm.
But guess what? When Shannon showed up and she opened her mouth, I could have been butt naked. Now, I probably would have made more money if I was butt naked, but that's a different story.
You probably would have. It's like, what
I
you
need
think?
to rethink this strategy a bit. But I showed up and it didn't matter. Like
Right.
my style is my style.
Right.
Today I'm rocking a fedora and snakeskin boots. Tomorrow there's a great chance if someone called me into a meeting or a Zoom meeting,
Mhm.
I'm going to be in a button down and a blazer.
Right.
It
Right.
doesn't matter the overall style. Shannon's going to show up as Shannon. You're going to know her regardless of what she's wearing, how she feels that day. There's something in me that just shows up. And that's what I try to teach people with creating content. There's something in you that needs to show up. But is
Mhm.
it your willingness that's either restricting it from showing up, or when it shows up, it's not accurate? So
Yes.
that's something that you have to challenge when you're building a brand.
And when you talk about working with your clients and things, what are some do's and don'ts when it comes to content? Like I'm new to this, so I can't really afford a copywriter or content commanders right now. What are some do's and don'ts that I can do right now to just
Oh,
get
can
a
you hear me?
simple yes?
Okay,
Uh-huh.
perfect. The
Yeah.
internet connection went out.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so let's give you some do's and don'ts. All right.
Mhm.
So the first do is stay in your most comfortable lane first. Okay.
Mhm.
I am terribly camera shy.
Mhm.
Terribly. Like when I see a lens pointing at me, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Girl, me and you both. I'm telling you, it's what took
Now,
me so long. I cannot believe that I don't even want to interrupt your dude, but honey, I can't believe that I'm just sitting in front of this camera now. Like, girl, I'm trying to think, is my double chin showing? What about this? But anyway, girl,
I
go
told
ahead.
you, Mama told me my head is crooked, and it just
Yes.
hit me today. My head is crooked.
Now everybody gonna be looking at my double chin. Quit looking.
And don't look
Jeez.
at my head. I'm trying to hold it right. I got a big brain, so sometimes I lean more left brain than right.
That's right. You're
Don't
just really
worry about
smart,
that.
honey. Highly intelligent. But go ahead. What else we
But
can do?
yeah, the do's, right, is stay in your most comfortable lane first. Like
Mhm.
master that lane. For me, writing is my most comfortable lane. So for the longest time, I just stayed in that. And that's how I started building my brand, is people could hear my style or see my style in my words. I'm a wordsmith. I can finesse the heck out of words.
Girl,
Okay.
that was my dream for the longest. I used to get
Really?
down on myself. I love wordsmith. I'm for real. There was a time when I would just pray because I'm just like the simple. I love like simple. A foundation of my business is
Yep.
just simple strategies for
Yep.
success, and I love to keep it really simple. But when these y'all wordsmiths, y'all have a special place in my heart. I just love
Listen, I feel
it.
the same way about visual artists. People who can draw a circle. I'm like, God got something big for you in your life. Because I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I tell my children, don't ask me to help you with school projects that require visual art. You will fail. Just don't.
Like,
But
go ask your dad. Like, go ask daddy.
go ask daddy, because that ain't me. Mm-mm. But writing is my most comfortable lane. I mastered that. I can wordsmith the hell out of something as soon as I get it.
All
It's
right.
Then I moved on to more visual content, or actually it was audio first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized, okay, well, if I could read out loud what I wrote and get comfortable with my voice and the inflection and the tone, the sassiness,
Mm-hmm.
then I got into that. Then it went into visual. Then it went into, audio visual with cameras. Stay in your most comfortable lane first and then grow from there. Do not jump into something that is not comfortable for you.
Yes.
It's okay to stay outside your comfort zone, but you also don't want to fail at several attempts because it's just not right for you right now. So that's the
Yes.
first thing.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing with your content, I call it my 5W plus H. I have a YouTube channel, Content Commanders, and the second video on that talks about 5W plus H, and it's simply taking it back to elementary school. And that's always knowing your who, what, when, where, why, and how. Know it. Know it like nobody's business. Like you know your social security number or your man's code to his iPhone. The same way you know that.
What?
Know your who, what, when, where, why, and how. And when you know that, you can command it and you can control the narrative. It doesn't even matter the order in which it comes at you. You can answer the questions. And that kind of leads to creating bigger opportunities for your brand.
Yeah.
What I would say as a don't is don't emulate someone else's style. Don't emulate it. Don't imitate it.
Okay.
Just don't. Look at it for research, but find your own voice. Because you'll find that you start thinking again, like I said earlier, that they have the formula to success. And so you start doing what they do and it doesn't work. And what you immediately do is start assuming that you are a failure.
That is true.
You're not a failure. That method just ain't for you. So find your own voice in your style. Don't copy other people. And the other thing I would say is don't give up. Yes. I'm not where I want to be at all, but I got really big goals. And I know that it's going to take persistence. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take stamina. It's going to take a whole of confidence to get to where I need to be. But I can't give up en route. Because if I don't, I'll never see where I need to be, and I'll constantly be making U-turns because I'm always going to think there's another way.
Yes.
So
we have
that's
a question.
what I would say about your content. Sure.
Okay. We have a question from Miss TT. She said, what is the best way to rebrand yourself?
Oh, whew. I would say start out with the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay, so who is it that you want to be? Who is this image? Who is it that you want to serve? So look introspectively and internally, and then look outwardly. Who is it you want to be, and who is it you want to serve? Those things should align, okay? So I can't want to be a sex kitten, right? And then want to serve nuns. Something ain't right.
Look.
I mean, I can want to be a sex
Do
kitten.
You, boo? Do you, boo?
Who you want to be should align with who you want to serve, okay? You got to make sure there's a brand alignment there. Then it's the what. What do you want to do, okay? What is it, and what purpose does it serve? Now, if it's financial, then you need to be honest and say it's financial. If it's, legacy building, be honest. What is it that you want to deliver, and what purpose does it serve? The when. When do you want to start? When? Where? Break it all the way down. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. When you look at that, I just helped a client earlier this week. Put that in a spreadsheet. Across the top, who, what, when, where, why, and how, and answer down the rows, okay, or down the columns. When you look at it, what is it telling you? You're going to see something visually, and of course, you're going to see something contextually. Do you agree with what you see?
Girl.
You have branded yourself. All you got to do is press the go button.
Girl, my battery thing done fell off my laptop. I just got Message, my battery running. Let me hurry and plug this in for this cut short. Girl, let me tell you the
In the
truth.
middle of a message.
You know what, girl? But that was some great advice. And I will just say that we say rebrand sometimes, but I just think it's just a continuation and an elevation because wherever we start is part of, unless you just did something for the wrong reason.
Right.
But it's just an evolution and a evolving of your true self. Like when I first started, my brand was focused all on girls, teen girls.
Mm-hmm.
That was my nonprofit. That's where I put all of my effort into it. So it got to a place where I was known as the purpose diva, the woman that worked with girls and all of that. And when I shifted to working more with women and their moms, because I saw a need for that, it wasn't that I was rebranding. It was just that I was shifting and evolving into more of who I've been called to be, which is empowering women and girls. So it may not be that you are rebranding as much as you are evolving. And as Shannon was saying, if you do that exercise, it may become more clear to you that this may be a part of your purpose, but it just may be you're serving a different audience now, or maybe you have honed in even deeper and got granular and more specific in your audience. And now you're saying, okay, let me just go a little bit. So before you, and it's just, and I'm saying because sometimes just as Shannon was saying, sometimes just the words we say and things we tell ourselves can cause us even more confusion. So TT, is it really rebranding or are you just shifting your focus? And that's what I would add on to what Shannon, the content commander, has just shared with us.
Absolutely. And another thing I will add, and I tell people this is a major part of my story as well, is, my brand has had so many makeovers, I used to say it's had so many facelifts. It's like Dolly Parton. Like it's just.
We sorry, Dolly. Don't be talking. I love Dolly. Leave Dolly alone. But I get it. But
Look, but the point is, you still look great, right? So after all of that transition, you feel a banger. So what I started out with in 2004 was Gershom and Salah writing service. Me and my husband. Writing books, okay, and pushing books. And then it turned into Pitch Me Marketing. Then it turned into I'm Shannon. And that was my longest running thing. It was Content Commanders. The rebranding, did I lose you? Okay, everything went dark.
Okay.
The rebranding was just a name change and a scalability focus. It wasn't necessarily changing my art or my voice or my style. It was more about at Gershom and Salah level, I couldn't scale to what Content Commanders is doing. And so that maturity and that growth just required a different level of focus. And I stepped away from entrepreneurship several times because of the frustration, because of the need to rebrand. Yes. Really, it was just a refocus, a realignment. Yes. And so I would just tell you to, number one, make sure you're not running away from something. Sometimes we rebrand to change our identity because we're running away from something.
That's good.
And then the next thing is, don't be afraid to evolve. It could be that same talent or skill set, just on a different level.
Yes. She said that, as a writer, she's been away from the world of writing and so much has changed. And I agree. A lot has changed, but it's even a better time to get in there and stand out. That's what's beautiful about it. Because right now we are all doing, if I open up my inbox and see another virtual event, I'm going to puke. Like, seriously, yeah. I know.
I am Zoom fatigued.
What?
Like, I promise you, they're going to come up with a disorder for people who have Zoom fatigue.
Oh, my goodness. And I don't think people realize that.
Trials. I'm going to be the first one in the clinical trials because that's me.
Yes. I'm like, if I see, no, I'm not going on Zoom at no, join us here at this. No, I'm not. First of all, I'm working. And secondly, honey,
First of all, it requires me to put on eyebrows and pants.
What? Okay.
I need to go through a mental checklist to figure out if this is something I want to commit to.
And then show up, like you said, then show up like I'm in a business. Girl, I'm on the couch. What? But I get it. We're all trying to make a living. So I'm not banging. I'm not knocking it. We got to do what we got to do. But I'm like, please, not another Zoom summit, not another this. I'm tired of it. Give us a break. Somebody's got to get a little bit more innovative. I mean, we got to come up with something. So I'm telling you.
Come up with something. We got to come up with something. But again, also with that in the content and the voices, you can find a way to make it fun. This is Zoom on steroids.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yes. Yes.
Fun. Child, normally I'm in the bed this time of night, but I'm having fun talking to you. And this is Zoom on steroids. So again, it's not rebranding. Y'all can take a Zoom and use it to tell your stories, to teach people how to write books, to have a fiction speakeasy. Like, if you are a writer, figure out what's happening now and just jump on that in a new, interesting way. And it does not require rebranding. It's just, all right, I'm going to take advantage of what's happening now. I'm going to come out with my same name and I'm just going to do this thing.
Yeah. And just do the things that
just do it.
Just do the things that may not be quote unquote acceptable. See, that's what gets you to stand out. There's a certain way that, certain things are done by the gurus or the masses. But, if it's the real you, let her out. Because many of us, we keep the true us, that one that we think may not be as acceptable, that story that we really should tell, but it's just not as glamorous because we haven't learned the power in that. See, if you're brave enough and bold enough to do that, then when you share your message, nobody else has gone through it the way you've gone through it. And even if they did, they didn't come out the way that you came out. And that's your comparative advantage. That's what you share. But you got to be confident in that.
Story. I was working with the coach, and when we were doing our discovery call, I literally was engaging a coach because I said I needed help. And so he was like, well, what do you need help with? I said, refinement. And so he's like, what do you mean refinement? I said, I'm not the button down professional. And I think that's stopping me from making money. And so we went through a series of coaching sessions. And I remember our last session, he was like, well, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. And I'm like, okay, what? He was like, you can't be refined. So I'm thinking, am I broken? Like, what you mean?
What?
Be refined. Here's what he was saying, though. He told me, he said, you can't be refined because the buttoned up, polished, prim thing is not authentically you. He said, you can show up in a suit. Plenty of times you have, but guess what comes out when you open your mouth and when you start moving? He said, those hand gestures move, that head tilts, those inflections in your voice come out because that's naturally you.
Yes.
And when you were trying to do this refinement thing, you shrunk yourself.
Yes.
You decided to be more demure. You go to
more of course you are. Hello, Shannon. Yeah. How are you, girl?
Hello. How are you? You thought
wonderful.
that was the key to your next payday. And he said, the more and more you try to be that person, that's why you stopped making money, because nobody believed you and nobody liked you. Exactly. But when you started saying, you know what? Not only am I smart, I'm going to show you how smart I am with my hand on my hip and my head tilted, and I'm going to get loud, and I'm going to tell you what is and isn't.
Okay.
And I connected it to my next check.
Because that is the freedom so that you can really flow in your genius, because you're not trying to sit right. I mean, we're not, now don't get us wrong. We ain't talking about coming down, hey, y'all. None of that. No.
That ain't it.
Okay. Say what? Oh, no, I just keep it real. No, we're not doing that. But I get it, because I'm the loud country person. And I just, I'm sorry. That whole thing it makes me sick to my stomach. Really. It's like I just shut down. I can't even flow in my zone of genius because I'm so busy trying to make sure that I'm sitting just right. And I'm looking just, honey, let's get down to business. Let me help you solve your problem. That's what we're really here to do. Let me help you solve your problem.
That's why you chose me. My ability to do something, not necessarily the way I delivered it, As long as I don't disrespect you
Right.
and make you uncomfortable, you find
Mm.
value in what I'm saying and telling you. And that's why you want me, because
Yes.
of the value, not
Yes.
because of my ability to sit up straight and cross my legs at the appropriate angle
Mm-hmm.
and speak in a soft voice. I am not trying
Yes.
to be your debutante. I am
Yes.
trying to help you solve a problem. So you're
Yes.
hiring me for that. Now, if you want a
Yes.
debutante, yeah, don't click on Content Commanders, Shannon, Baylor-Henderson. Don't do it, because it ain't there.
And it's so freeing when you're able to do it. That's one reason why I wanted to do Real Grown Woman Talk, because I wanted us to have these kind of conversations, because many people don't realize that there is a cultural difference too when Black women talk, and how we talk and why we talk the way that we do and the way we move. It doesn't make us, itchy. I'm not going to say the other word. It doesn't make us ghetto and hood. And I mean, there are some that go, could use a little refinement,
They
but
need my retirement coach.
but this is a cultural thing as well. And so when you rather than you adjusting and adapting, you want us to conform, and
Yep.
you're not getting the best out of us as Black women in your businesses or relationships or anything when you don't allow us to just be who we really are. And when you show up like that in your business, there is a woman that feels like that. She feels like, you know what, I'm a t-shirt and jeans kind of girl, and I want to see that and still be able to make millions of dollars, or still be able to build an awesome brand, and still be able to be an influencer without, because as women, we have this need, and sometimes it's this pressure to show up beautiful, to show up perfect, to show up anything other than who we are, which focuses more on the outward. But that's not the topic of this conversation. So I'm gonna reel it back in and talk about commanding your story. But before we go any further, Shannon, we have to spill some tea. All right, we gotta spill some tea, girl. You know when we get together,
the ice, is it flavored? Some type of concept. I need to know.
We got to do this. So I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yep.
And I want you to just say the first thing that's going to come to your mind. Let me get them here. All right. Share a moment when you share a moment that you would rather forget as a CEO. Mm-hmm. Spill it, girl. Let us hear it.
So I think a moment that I would rather forget as a CEO is when I first became like a CEO and I flaked on a client. Like,
Shannon.
Disappeared.
What? Girl, what happened?
Life. And it got, how they say a lie snowballs? Well, not only does a lie snowball, so does avoidance. You know how you disappear for maybe a day and then you're too embarrassed to come back, so then it turns into 2 days, and then you're even more embarrassed. And
I do.
You know what's crazy is that it still haunts me.
Really?
And this was years ago, and it still haunts me. It bothers me.
Were you able to make it right, or what happened, girl? Look, I'm leaning in. Now what happened?
No, I have not. I think I've been making up for it, overcompensating, but I didn't correct it. And I think in correcting it, I feel like I'm going to open a wound that I'm learning that probably should stay closed. But at the same time, I'm like, is that the thing that, blocking the next level? So it's just like, I don't know what to do.
All right, y'all listening. What should Shannon do?
Yeah, tell me, what should I do?
What should Shannon do?
You're not the client I flaked on. Like,
you know what? She may be in a place of forgiveness or what, but it is a decision, because it's like, I don't want to, maybe they've gotten over it and it's just me that's still hanging on, and maybe I just need to forgive myself, or do I need to make that right?
Tell that story, some people are like, I'm quite sure that person is over it and it's just you, but like it sits here. It's like, I think I need to do something about it, but I'm not sure I want to. So,
All right,
or
girl.
had me up all night talking about, oh my
Oh, girl, you spilled some tea there, girl. You spilled some tea, and we're going to
spilled
be
it on
praying
myself.
that you make the right decision concerning that. We're going to be praying that you make the right decision
Yes.
concerning that. Okay. Okay. So, how do you rock your real grown womanness? How do you rock that? Okay. Are you stiletto, wedges, or sneakers?
Sneakers.
Okay. Dress,
Mm-hmm.
power suit, or jeans?
Power suit.
Mm-hmm. Lipstick, matte, glossy, or lip gloss?
Matte.
Okay. Okay. All right. You've had a long, productive week. It's the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? Is it a wine and remote type of weekend? Is it a hanging out with my girls kind of weekend? Is it I'm down for whatever kind of weekend? Or is it a I'm hanging with my boo type of weekend?
I am trying to be professional. I keep looking at the banner like it says real grown woman. So, so I'm gonna leave it at it's a wine and my man vibe.
Oh,
Saturday and Sunday.
nice.
Thursday
Nice.
and Sunday is a wine and my man vibe.
Oh, right. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead. Go ahead. All of us are not able. So, yes, we celebrate you for that.
I'm doing it because I'm able to.
Okay.
I'm having fun. And
That's
it's
beautiful.
interesting because my husband and I are both entrepreneurs. And our Mondays, our Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and even into our weekends are very hectic amongst running a household. So when me and him just get to be me and him,
girl, don't spill no tea. Don't do it. Don't do it.
so you can't get no more tea. The cup is empty. The cup is empty. You ain't
okay.
Save your question.
Oh my goodness. All right. Shannon, I have enjoyed you. Seriously, this has been beautiful. We're talking about how to command your story, and Shannon has dropped some nuggets, and it's just the opportunity now to just share your story. The world is looking for something different. The world is looking for something real. The world is looking for hope. The world is looking for just the realness so that people are hurting and they need an outlet where they can show up and not feel judged, where they can show up and be vulnerable and transparent, where they can show up and learn, where they can show up and grow. And I believe the healing that our land needs lies within each and every one of us when we stand up and when we show up. So thank you so much, Shannon, for teaching us just how to command our story when we are creating content, because every business solves a problem.
Yes.
And when you are true and clear about the problem that you solve, you're transforming a life.
Absolutely.
And that's what we really are here to do. We're here to leave this world in a better place. We're here to fulfill our purpose. And so I thank you for helping somebody else take the next best step in their journey. So
absolutely,
how can people get in contact with you? I know I've posted it across the lower thirds, but how can people find out more or work with Shannon?
Sure, absolutely. So I would tell everyone to go visit my website, which is www.contentcommanders.com. And you can take a quiz to figure out if you're ready to get your content commanded. The next thing I would do is tell you to follow me on Facebook. So, of course, there's the Content Commanders page on Facebook, the same name as the brand. But if you want to get to know me a little bit differently than from being the CEO, you can find me at Shannon Sanderson. So the letters are switched, Shannon Sanderson. And then on Instagram, I am Black female boss. So follow me there, reach out to me, and let's connect. I am always interested in creating and growing new relationships. So absolutely reach out to me and let's talk about commanding your story.
Awesome. All right. Well, hope you have enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, I had
Real
been.
grown woman talk. And be sure to comment, like, and share. Thank you so much, TT, Nicole, and Lasandra. How are you? Lasandra says, reach out to the old client.
Mm.
Robin said, be honest.
Ain't nobody asked y'all to pull my card. I'm gonna need y'all to rethink it and come
Yes,
back.
honey. We thank you, ladies, so much for tuning in. And until our next conversation, be bold, be beautiful, be blessed.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.